This message reached you not by chance, but by design. At first glance, it looks like another piece of content appearing on your screen, but you can feel in your chest that something more deliberate is occurring. You are not here because of an algorithm alone. You are here because your consciousness signaled a readiness that the quantum field could not ignore. The invitation is simple, but seismic, to finally recognize the mechanism that has been scripting your life in ways both subtle and exhausting: the observer loop. In quantum physics, observation collapses probability into form. Attention decides which version of reality gets to materialize out of the infinite possibilities shimmering in the field. For most people, attention is not free. It is trained. It is conditioned. It is domesticated by history, memory, and emotional grooves carved by repetition. The result is that the same waves collapse again and again, producing the same conversations, the same disappointments, the same victories that turn hollow within days. Existence becomes a vinyl record stuck on the same groove, the same song of survival playing endlessly in the background. But you noticed. You noticed the déjà vu that was too exact to dismiss. You noticed the strange sensation that time was moving, but life was not. You noticed that even when you changed cities, jobs, or partners, the underlying themes remained unshaken. And instead of numbing that noticing, you listened. That single act of honesty is why this message could find you. The loop is invisible until it is seen, and once it is seen, it can no longer enslave you in the same way. Do not misunderstand. The loop is not evil. It is efficient. It exists to conserve energy, to recycle attention, to protect you from drowning in the infinite sea of possibility. The loop builds familiarity, but it builds it at the cost of wonder. The price of safety is monotony. For years, perhaps lifetimes, you paid that price willingly because predictability felt like life. But now predictability feels like death. And that shift in sensation means the contract is over. Millions scroll through endless streams of distraction at this very moment, but only a rare kind of awareness pauses when it meets its reflection. Your awareness paused. Something inside you said, "Wait, this isn't entertainment. This is recognition." That pause is the hinge of destiny. That pause is the point where the loop loses its absolute control. So breathe deeply as you absorb these words. Feel the truth vibrate through your skin. This is not motivation, not hype, not doctrine. This is you meeting yourself in a mirror that cannot lie. The observer loop can survive anger, can survive denial, can even survive rebellion. But it cannot survive being calmly, lucidly observed. Seeing is the solvent, awareness is the key, and you are holding it now. This is the beginning, the last moment where you will ever be unaware of the pattern. From here, nothing will ever quite be the same.
You may have wondered many times if you missed your chance. Maybe you felt like others moved ahead while you circled the same ground. Perhaps there were years when you tried, with discipline and sincerity, to break old habits or to manifest new outcomes, only to discover yourself caught in the same patterns again. The temptation to label those seasons as failure is strong, but failure is not what happened. What happened was calibration. Think of your life as a series of experiments conducted by your higher self. Each repeated pattern, each conversation that felt like déjà vu, each relationship that tested the same wounds was data being gathered. Not data for punishment, data for precision. Your consciousness was learning to feel, with increasing accuracy, the difference between false progress and real transformation. Without those repetitions, you would not have the sensitivity to recognize the loop. Without the loop pressing itself into your awareness, you would never have built the discernment required to break it. This is why you are not late. This is why you are not behind. You are exactly on schedule. Readiness is never theoretical. Readiness is earned through experience. And experience, even the most confusing, even the most humiliating, has always been the curriculum of awakening. The fact that you are here with enough coherence to understand these words means you graduated from every hidden test. Look back honestly and you will see it. You thought the heartbreaks were mistakes, but they were refinements of your boundaries. You thought the failures were setbacks, but they were rehearsals of resilience. You thought the nights of despair were wasted, but they were initiations into compassion. Each cycle of repetition was a sculptor's chisel, carving away the parts of you that believed comfort was safer than truth. So now, when you feel the old voice whispering that you are late, that too much time has been lost, recognize it as the loop's last disguise. It will try to convince you that the door has closed, but the door is here, right now, opening wider than ever. The loop cannot run without your consent, and your consent has been withdrawn simply by recognizing what was happening. That is enough to reset the trajectory of your entire future. Know this: the universe is never wasteful. Every delay was preparation. Every pause was gestation. You were being rewired at levels invisible to your mind, so that when the moment of recognition arrived, you could stabilize instead of collapse. And the moment has arrived. Take comfort in this truth. You are not behind schedule. You are the schedule. Your awakening is the timeline. Every signal in the field is affirming that you are exactly where you must be, not one step too early, not one step too late. You are on time for your destiny.
If you've been questioning whether the observer loop is real, look no further than the symptoms already showing up in your daily life. The signs are subtle at first, disguised as coincidences, but when you know what to watch for, they become undeniable. The first sign is time distortion. Have you noticed how certain moments stretch endlessly while entire weeks vanish in a blur? You sit through a meeting, a conversation, or a routine task, and minutes feel like hours, yet before you can catch your breath, another month has disappeared. This isn't aging, and it isn't poor memory. It's the signature of consciousness recycling the same probability waves. Linear progress becomes an illusion when your awareness is circling the same tracks. But when you glimpse a pocket of expanded presence, a day that feels unusually vivid, a conversation that shifts your perspective, a synchronicity that leaves you speechless, that's evidence of an exit door briefly opening. The second sign is recurring emotional landscapes.
Different people, different settings, but the same feelings. Maybe every relationship, no matter how it begins, eventually repeats the same cycle of disappointment. Maybe every new project feels exciting for a week and then collapses under the same weight of doubt. It looks like bad luck, but in truth, your nervous system is scanning for familiar frequencies and locking onto them. The loop doesn't recycle events, it recycles attention. The experiences may change costumes, but the emotional core remains identical. The third sign is heightened synchronicity. Paradoxically, when the loop begins to destabilize, you notice a surge of meaningful coincidences. You think of someone, and they text you. You wrestle with a question, and the answer appears in a headline or a stranger's words. This is not fantasy. It's the field responding to your growing awareness. The synchronicities are not random rewards. They are breadcrumbs guiding you out of repetition. Each one says, "Yes, you're noticing. Keep going." Another unmistakable marker is dream intensity. Perhaps your dreams have become cinematic, almost more real than waking life. You wake with symbols that feel urgent, scenes that seem to teach, voices that deliver instructions you can't quite remember but somehow know are important. These are not random firings of the brain. They are transmissions from your higher self, rehearsals of alternative timelines, lessons in interdimensional classrooms. As your awareness loosens from the loop, your dream life expands to compensate, offering you glimpses of what freedom looks like before it stabilizes in waking reality. Then there is technology's strange behavior. Your phone lights up before you touch it. Your computer delivers the exact article you needed without searching. Devices glitch when you pursue paths that don't resonate. This isn't paranoia, it's resonance. Consciousness interacts with electromagnetic fields, and as your frequency shifts, the environment begins to mirror it. Finally, the most profound symptom, your relationship with thoughts has changed. Where once you were fused with them, swept away by every narrative, you now experience flashes of distance. You can watch a thought without believing it. You can feel an emotion without drowning in it. This metacognitive awareness is the strongest indicator that the loop is weakening. Once you can see the narration, rather than be the narration, you are already halfway free. Remember this: symptoms are not punishments, they are proof. Proof that your consciousness is stirring, that the old repetition is unraveling, that something entirely new is within reach.
It's tempting to believe that breaking free from the observer loop is only about your private liberation. After all, it feels so personal. The repetitive conversations, the déjà vu relationships, the sense of running on a treadmill while calling it life. These struggles feel intimate, like battles no one else could possibly understand. Yet the truth is larger. Your awakening has never been just for you. Consciousness is collective by design. Each breakthrough in one individual radiates like a signal through the field, subtly rearranging what becomes possible for everyone else. Think of it like a tuning fork. Strike one fork and nearby forks begin to vibrate with the same tone. When you begin vibrating outside of the loop, others unconsciously feel the invitation to do the same. You might notice friends suddenly questioning old beliefs, or strangers telling you their deepest fears without knowing why.
That's not coincidence, that's resonance. We are living at a threshold moment. Humanity has been running its own collective observer loop for centuries, repeating cycles of war, scarcity, inequality, and fear. History books disguise it as progress because the costumes change, but the underlying melody has been the same. Conflict followed by temporary peace, boom followed by bust, hope followed by collapse. The same grooves, the same track, playing again and again. Now, however, something unprecedented is occurring. Enough individuals are destabilizing their personal loops that the collective pattern itself is beginning to fracture. That fracture looks chaotic: collapsing systems, extreme polarization, global unrest. But chaos is what happens when old repetition no longer holds. This is why your personal liberation matters so profoundly. You are not just trying to create a better relationship or a new career or more inner peace. You are anchoring a new frequency into the collective field. Every time you choose presence over habit, every time you observe without collapsing into fear, every time you allow coherence to guide your attention rather than repetition, you stabilize an option that becomes more accessible to others. You literally expand the menu of possibilities for humanity. And don't underestimate the power of subtle influence. You may not have a stage or a platform. You may never speak publicly about consciousness. Yet your presence alone, when coherent, alters the invisible architecture of any space you enter. Families reorganize around it. Workplaces soften around it. Friends find themselves breathing easier in your company without knowing why. You don't need to convince anyone of anything. You only need to embody freedom, and freedom will do the convincing on its own. This is why your training was so intense. The universe doesn't waste resources on entertainment. You were sculpted through heartbreak, solitude, frustration, and delay, not because you were unworthy, but because you were being prepared to function as an anchor. An anchor must hold steady in storms. An anchor must resist the pull of panic. Now, as storms rage collectively, you are discovering that steadiness is exactly what you've been training for. Your awakening is not a side note in human history. It is part of humanity's evolution itself. The loop breaks one consciousness at a time, until eventually the pattern collapses for the species as a whole.
There comes a time in every seeker's life when knowledge ceases to be enough. You can read every book, attend every seminar, practice every meditation technique, and still find yourself caught in the same repetitive cycles. I know this because it happened to me. And I need to share this story with you, not as inspiration, but as evidence that the observer loop can be seen, and once it is seen, it can never fully reassert its power. 3 years ago, I believed I had reached an advanced level of awareness. I had studied mystical traditions, experimented with manifestation practices, and cultivated discipline in meditation. On the surface, it looked like progress, but underneath, I was still haunted by the same frustrations, the same relational dynamics, the same sense of moving in circles. Outwardly, I could speak about consciousness with confidence, but inwardly, I felt trapped. Every morning, I would rise and begin scanning my life for signs of change. Was my career moving? Were my manifestations working? Was I evolving?
What I didn't realize was that this very scanning was the loop itself. The act of obsessively observing for evidence was collapsing the same patterns again and again. I was building the cage I was desperate to escape from. The moment of revelation came in a meditation session. I was sitting in silence, frustrated beyond words, when suddenly something shifted. Instead of focusing on the objects of my attention, my breath, my thoughts, my sensations, I became aware of attention itself. It was like turning the camera around, watching the watcher. And in that instant, I saw the mechanism. I realized that my consciousness had been behaving like a searchlight, desperately sweeping across reality for proof that things were different. But every sweep was collapsing the same patterns, keeping me chained to the same track. It hit me with the force of lightning. My effort to observe my way into freedom was the very act that sustained my imprisonment. The realization was both devastating and liberating. Devastating because I saw how subtle the trap was. Liberating because the recognition itself weakened the loop. For the first time, I could feel the difference between intellectual awareness and embodied knowing. The observer loop isn't broken by adding more information. It's broken by the quality of how we notice. That day marked a radical shift. Slowly, I stopped searching for evidence and began practicing meta-observation. Noticing how attention itself moved, where it gravitated, what frequencies it locked onto. I stopped forcing outcomes and began relaxing into presence, and almost immediately, reality began to change. Conversations unfolded differently. Obstacles dissolved with less resistance. Even my health improved, as if my cells themselves had been waiting for a new signal. This is not to say the journey was easy. Old patterns resurfaced, doubt returned. But once I had glimpsed the mechanism, I could never fully be deceived again. The loop had been exposed, and exposure is the beginning of its death.
For centuries, mystics whispered truths that science only recently began to confirm. Consciousness does not merely witness reality, it participates in shaping it. Ancient traditions called this Maya, the dream-like nature of the world. They taught that attention is a creative force, that perception itself bends the fabric of existence. For most of human history, these were dismissed as poetic metaphors. But with the rise of quantum physics, the metaphors hardened into equations. At the heart of the quantum revolution lies the observer effect, the phenomenon that particles remain in a state of probability until observed, at which point they collapse into measurable reality. This is not philosophy, this is physics. Experiments like the double-slit test revealed something startling. Matter behaves differently when watched. Awareness influences outcome. The line between science and spirituality blurred, and what once was mysticism became measurable anomaly. But here is the detail most scientists avoid and most mystics emphasize. Observation is not neutral. The quality of the observer changes the collapse. In laboratories, machines detect photons in predictable ways because machines carry no trauma, no desire, no unconscious repetition. But human observers carry both memory and expectation. When your consciousness enters the equation,
the collapse bends toward the familiar. The probability waves don't just respond to being seen, they respond to how you see. This is why loops exist. Your nervous system, trained by years of repeated experiences, unconsciously seeks out the familiar. Your attention gravitates to what it knows, and in doing so, collapses probability into that same pattern again. If you expect disappointment, you collapse toward it. If you expect betrayal, you magnetize situations that fulfill that script. And because the results confirm the expectation, your nervous system locks the pattern even deeper. The loop sustains itself not by malice, but by feedback. Mysticism always warned us of this. Buddhist texts spoke of samsara, the wheel of repeated lifetimes governed by clinging and aversion. Indigenous wisdom described cycles of forgetting and remembering, where tribes repeated their mistakes until a new vision interrupted the spiral. Christian mystics spoke of the desert of the soul, a place of repetition and dryness before the living water of revelation flowed again. Different languages, same truth. Consciousness, when left unconscious, recycles. But the reverse is also true. When attention shifts in quality, from fear to openness, from contraction to curiosity, from desperate searching to spacious awareness, the collapse shifts. New probabilities become available. Synchronicities accelerate. Entire timelines reorganize themselves around the upgraded coherence of the observer. This is not magic. It is physics playing in the hands of consciousness. The mystics and scientists, separated by centuries, are finally speaking the same language. One side used silence and ritual. The other uses mathematics and measurement. Both point to the same discovery. Reality is not fixed. It is participatory, relational, fluid, and you, as observer, are not a passive witness. You are the tuning fork through which the cosmos decides what song to play.
How do you know if the work is real? How can you be certain that you are not simply convincing yourself with hopeful thoughts or spiritual, wishful thinking? These are valid questions. In fact, they are essential, because discernment is one of the hallmarks of genuine transformation. The good news is that when the observer loop begins to dissolve, the evidence is not subtle. It is woven into your life in ways you cannot deny. The first sign is synchronicity multiplied. You've always had moments when coincidences lined up, but lately, they're different. They arrive with precision, stacked one after another, orchestrated like a symphony. You think of a childhood friend, and within hours, they appear in your feed. You feel called to a certain book, and it practically falls into your hands at the exact moment you need its wisdom. This density of synchronicity is confirmation. Your attention is no longer locked into the narrow frequency of the loop. It is roaming wider fields, and reality is responding. Another sign is the shift in relationships. People around you behave differently. Some seem uncomfortable, even irritated, without you doing or saying anything in particular. Others are drawn to you as though you carry a hidden magnet. This happens because your energy signature has changed. Those still tightly bound to their loops feel destabilized in your presence, while those ready to expand
find in you a mirror of their own potential. Watch carefully. Your connections will reorganize themselves, not by force, but by resonance. A third sign is the elasticity of time. The distortion that once felt oppressive now begins to feel liberating. Moments of presence expand into eternity, filled with richness and depth. Hours spent in flow states pass like minutes, and instead of draining you, they replenish you. The same clock ticks for everyone, but your experience of time becomes non-linear, flexible, and guided by consciousness rather than habit. This shift is evidence that you are stepping out of linear repetition and into the eternal now. Physical sensations also confirm the transition. Sleep may alter, sometimes lighter, sometimes deeper, but always accompanied by dreams that feel more like journeys than random images. You might notice tingling in your hands, surges of heat in your spine, or sudden waves of emotion without obvious cause. These are not malfunctions. They are your nervous system recalibrating to handle new frequencies. Your body, long accustomed to stress patterns, is now learning to embody coherence. And then there is the most subtle yet undeniable marker: your relationship with thought itself. Once, thoughts dragged you helplessly into their stories. Now, you catch them mid-sentence. You can feel the space between stimulus and response. You observe irritation rising and choose compassion. You notice fear whispering and choose stillness. That tiny pause, that millisecond of freedom, is the crack through which infinity enters. If you are experiencing even one of these signs, the loop is weakening. If you are experiencing several, it is already breaking. Reality is not theory. It shows you again and again when you are shifting. And the signs are not here to tease you. They are here to encourage you, to confirm. You are doing it. You are stepping free.
There comes a point in every transformation when the old structure can no longer contain the new energy rising within you. This is the breakthrough phase, the stage where your consciousness destabilizes the observer loop so completely that it can no longer reassemble itself in its former shape. It is exhilarating, but it is also turbulent. Think of water reaching its boiling point. For minutes, the heat builds with no visible change. Then, suddenly, the molecules reorganize and liquid becomes vapor. The transformation seems instantaneous, but in truth, it was building all along. Your consciousness works the same way. Every moment of noticing, every flash of meta-awareness, every act of presence has been adding heat, and now the pressure has reached critical mass. In this phase, you may feel waves of energy moving through your body, tingling, shivering, sudden heat rising in the chest, or chills without any physical cause. At times, it feels like you're plugged into a cosmic current too vast to control. Your nervous system, long accustomed to looping stress patterns, doesn't quite know what to do with this surge of coherence. It tries to release the old while making space for the new. This can feel like trembling, restlessness, or bursts of creative fire that come without warning. The turbulence also shows up emotionally.
Old wounds may resurface with unusual intensity, not because you're regressing, but because the loop is dislodging its final anchors. The very patterns that once seemed invisible now reveal themselves in full clarity. The temptation is to believe you are falling backward, but the opposite is true. You are experiencing the final echoes of the loop as it crumbles. Observe them, feel them, but do not identify with them. They are not returning to stay, they are surfacing to leave. Another hallmark of this phase is disruption in external circumstances. Relationships may suddenly collapse, jobs may dissolve, plans may unravel. At first glance, it looks like chaos, but what's really happening is reorganization. The quantum field is rearranging itself to match your new coherence. What no longer resonates falls away, sometimes abruptly, because it cannot survive in your upgraded frequency. Trust this process, even when it feels uncomfortable. You may also experience moments of reality turbulence, strange glitches in perception, time skips, conversations repeat, technology behaves oddly. Synchronicities pile up in such density that you begin to question whether you're dreaming. All of this is confirmation that your consciousness is moving between probability tracks. The turbulence is not error, it is transition. The key during the breakthrough phase is surrender. Do not rush to control, to fix, to force clarity. Your task is not to direct the reorganization, but to remain transparent to it. Let the energy move. Let the field rewrite itself. Trust that the intelligence orchestrating this transition knows exactly what it's doing. This is the threshold where many turn back, frightened by the unfamiliar. But if you can stay steady, breathe deeply, and allow the turbulence to unfold, you will cross into a reality beyond the loop forever.
Amid all the turbulence, all the searching, all the attempts to understand why life keeps repeating itself, there is one principle that dissolves every loop and restores true freedom: coherence. Not effort, not control, not endless positive affirmations. Coherence. But what is coherence? At its core, coherence is when every level of your being, thought, emotion, energy, intention, vibrates in harmony. It's not about being perfect or never having doubts. It's about alignment. Imagine an orchestra where each instrument plays a different song. The result is noise, confusion, dissonance. But when every musician tunes to the same frequency, a symphony emerges. Your consciousness works the same way. Most of humanity lives in fragmentation. Thoughts say one thing, emotions scream another, the body resists, and energy scatters in all directions. This fragmentation keeps the observer loop alive. Why? Because a fragmented signal can only collapse probabilities into fragmented realities. If part of you longs for freedom, but another part is addicted to fear, the quantum field receives mixed instructions. The result is a reality that reflects the contradiction. Coherence is different. When your thoughts, emotions, and energy are unified, the field has no choice but to respond with precision. Synchronicities align seamlessly. Opportunities appear effortlessly. Relationships reorganize themselves around clarity. You stop pushing, pulling, and striving, and instead, reality begins flowing toward you. Mystics have described coherence in countless ways.
the yogic state of union, the Taoist flow of harmony, the Christian idea of being in spirit. Science, too, recognizes it. HeartMath studies show that when the heart and brain enter coherence, the nervous system stabilizes, immune function improves, and perception sharpens. This is not mystical metaphor. It is physiology confirming metaphysics. The greatest misunderstanding is to confuse coherence with control. Many seekers try to force their thoughts into positivity, to suppress emotions that feel inconvenient, to demand their bodies comply with willpower. But forced alignment is not coherence, it is repression. True coherence emerges naturally when you stop fragmenting your awareness across timelines that don't belong to you. When you release attention from past regrets and future anxieties, what remains is presence. And presence, by definition, is coherent. You may have already glimpsed this state, a moment of pure flow where time dissolved, a walk in nature when everything felt alive and interconnected, a conversation so authentic it felt orchestrated by something larger. In those moments, you weren't trying to be coherent, you simply were. That natural state is your birthright. Here lies the secret. The universe responds to coherence, not to effort. When you are scattered, you receive scattered results. When you are coherent, the quantum field mirrors that harmony back to you with exactness. Coherence is not something you build. It is something you remember. It is what you are when the noise of fear and habit fades away.
It is easy to believe that transformation is something abstract, hidden, or reserved for meditation mats and sacred spaces. But when the observer loop dissolves and coherence begins to take root, the evidence is not confined to mystical experiences. It shows up in the most ordinary places, your mornings, your conversations, your daily routines. Life itself becomes the proof. One of the first pieces of evidence is effortless timing. You find yourself arriving at places exactly when you need to, without rushing or planning. The green lights align on your commute. Parking spaces open as if waiting for you. Even delays, missing a bus or a meeting being rescheduled, reveal themselves as perfectly orchestrated, leading you to encounters or opportunities you couldn't have arranged yourself. The more coherent your field becomes, the more life feels like choreography instead of chaos. Another sign is the shift in conversations. People around you begin opening up in surprising ways. Strangers tell you their life stories. Friends confess thoughts they've never shared before. It is not because you are probing them, it is because your frequency signals safety. Your presence becomes a mirror that invites authenticity. At the same time, those who are still tightly bound to their loops may withdraw or project discomfort onto you. Do not take it personally. It is simply resonance in action. Frequencies reorganizing themselves around coherence. Then there is the flow of resources. Money, ideas, opportunities. They begin appearing with less struggle. Not because you've mastered a new manifestation technique, but because your attention is no longer reinforcing scarcity patterns. When you stop observing lack, lack stops collapsing into your reality. You notice that solutions arrive before problems become crises, that creative ideas spark exactly when they are needed, that people show up offering support without you asking. Abundance becomes less about accumulation and more about alignment. Physical health provides further confirmation. Old stress symptoms begin to fade.
You may notice you recover more quickly from illness or fatigue. Food cravings shift toward what nourishes rather than numbs. Sleep becomes deeper, or sometimes shorter, yet more restorative. Your body mirrors your consciousness, and as coherence stabilizes, the body reorganizes to reflect that order. But perhaps the most profound evidence is your relationship with challenge itself. Difficulties still arise, but you meet them differently. Instead of spiraling into panic, you find yourself pausing, breathing, and responding with clarity. The same situation that once triggered despair now becomes an opportunity for insight. This shift doesn't mean life becomes free of obstacles. It means obstacles lose their power to enslave you. Transformation always proves itself in the mundane. Pay attention to the subtle ease emerging in your daily rhythms, the synchronicity stacking with impossible precision, the conversations that open deeper than ever before. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. They are the universe whispering, "Yes, you've shifted. Yes, the loop is breaking. Yes, your frequency is rewriting reality."
Up until now, much of this journey has seemed personal. Your struggles, your loops, your signs of awakening. But consciousness is never isolated. Every time one person destabilizes their observer loop, ripples are felt across the entire field. Just as a single tuning fork can set others vibrating, your transformation is inseparable from the collective transformation already underway on this planet. Humanity itself has been trapped in a massive observer loop for millennia. Wars recycled with new names. Economies expanded and collapsed in predictable rhythms. Oppression disguised itself in different costumes, but the pattern remained the same: fear, division, scarcity. Generations were born into the same grooves of repetition, mistaking motion for progress. But now, for the first time in history, enough individual awakenings are overlapping to destabilize the collective cycle. You can see the signs everywhere. Systems that once seemed indestructible are cracking. Political structures wobble, economies falter, technologies disrupt entire industries overnight. At first glance, it looks like chaos, but chaos is simply what happens when an old loop can no longer sustain itself. The familiar is unraveling, not as punishment, but as preparation for what comes next. Perhaps you've noticed how polarization intensifies across society. People seem to be living in completely different realities. That is because they are. Consciousness is bifurcating. Some cling desperately to the old loop, while others step into coherence and discover new possibilities. There is no neutral ground anymore. Each soul is choosing, consciously or unconsciously, which frequency to stabilize. Your personal awakening plays a direct role in this process. Every moment you remain coherent rather than collapsing into fear, you anchor stability for others. Every time you refuse to feed conflict with your attention, you weaken the collective patterns of division. You are not a passive bystander in humanity's story. You are a node in a living network that is recalibrating what the species as a whole can experience. And here is the profound truth. The collective loop breaks one consciousness at a time, until eventually the critical mass tips the scale. This is why your transformation matters so much more than personal comfort. You are a bridge. You are part of the first wave, tasked with embodying a frequency that will become the default
for future generations. The children being born now will never know the density you've struggled through because you are dismantling it before they arrive. Throughout history, words have been treated as more than symbols. They were seen as spells, prayers, vibrations that could shape the invisible. Ancient cultures knew that speaking was not merely communication, it was creation. To name something was to give it power. To declare something was to invite it into form. Even today, language remains the most immediate way consciousness impresses itself upon reality. This is why declarations are so important in the journey of breaking observer loops. A declaration is not wishful thinking. It is not a casual affirmation repeated without feeling. A true declaration is a conscious alignment of thought, emotion, and energy expressed through language. When you speak with that level of coherence, the words carry a frequency that the quantum field cannot ignore. Think of the difference between saying, "I hope I can be free," and declaring, "I am free." The first vibrates with uncertainty, reinforcing separation from the desired reality. The second vibrates with presence, collapsing the possibility into embodiment. The universe hears the difference. Your cells feel the difference. One keeps you circling the loop. The other cuts through it like a blade. This is why spiritual traditions have always included spoken components. Chants, mantras, prayers, vows. The sound itself organizes energy. When combined with genuine intention, it becomes a tuning fork for new realities. The act of voicing a declaration doesn't just inform the world, it informs your own nervous system. It trains your body, your mind, and your field to stabilize in a new pattern. But here is the nuance. Declarations only work when they are rooted in recognition, not desperation. If you declare words you don't believe, the contradiction dilutes the frequency. The field responds not to what you say, but to the coherence behind what you say. This is why I ask you not to write long explanations or elaborate manifestos, but to speak or type simple words like, "I am coherent with my highest timeline," or "I am ready to serve." Simplicity carries power when the heart is aligned. You may have noticed how even typing a single word in a comment can shift your state. That is not a social media trick. It is a quantum act. When you declare in community, your intention entangles with the field of others making the same declaration. The result is amplification. What would be a single drop of coherence becomes an oceanic wave of frequency. So do not underestimate the power of your voice. Use it deliberately. Anchor your transformation not only in silence and thought, but in spoken truth. Every declaration is a doorway. Every word aligned with recognition is a step into the new reality. Speak carefully, speak consciously, and speak with the awareness that the universe is always listening. Because in truth, it is listening through you.
When people hear the phrase superhuman abilities, their minds often leap to comic books, mythologies, or futuristic fantasies. But what you are about to understand is that these abilities are not fantasy. They are the natural expression of consciousness once it is freed from the repetitive patterns of the observer loop. What seems extraordinary to the old paradigm is simply ordinary in the field of coherence. The first of these gifts is heightened intuition. Intuition no longer arrives as vague nudges or fleeting hunches. It becomes direct knowing. You sense outcomes before they occur. You perceive truth in someone's words without needing evidence. You choose paths that lead to alignment without rational calculation. This is not psychic trickery. It is the natural ability of consciousness to read probability waves before they collapse. Once your attention is free, it sees more clearly. Another gift is what can be called reality fluidity. You begin to notice that you can move between different probability tracks almost at will. The traffic jam that would have trapped you somehow dissolves. The opportunity that seemed impossible suddenly appears. You are not manipulating the world like a magician. You are shifting the quality of your observations so completely that you select a different timeline altogether. This feels miraculous at first, but soon it becomes normal. Then there is creative amplification. Ideas flow with such clarity and originality that you sometimes wonder if they even belong to you. Art, writing, problem-solving, innovation, all of it expands beyond the boundaries of personal memory and experience. That is because coherence makes you a clear channel for universal intelligence. Creations come not from you, but through you, carrying a resonance that others can feel, even if they cannot explain it. Physical transformation is another marker. Your body begins to heal in ways that defy conventional understanding. Stress-related illnesses dissolve as your nervous system reorganizes. Energy levels stabilize. Sleep becomes more restorative, even if shorter. You may notice your senses sharpening, colors brighter, sounds richer, subtle sensations more perceptible. This is not supernatural. It is simply the body operating at the frequency it was always designed to embody. Perhaps the most profound ability is what could be called field influence. Your very presence begins to alter environments. People feel calmer, clearer, or more inspired when near you. Conflicts de-escalate. Children and animals respond with unusual trust. This happens because your coherence creates a local pocket of stability in the quantum field. Others unconsciously entrain to it, tasting the freedom that you embody. Without teaching, without effort, you become a catalyst. Understand this. None of these are new abilities. They have always been latent within you. They were simply suppressed by the fragmentation of the loop. Once coherence is stabilized, what seemed impossible becomes effortless. The superhuman is simply the fully human, a human no longer bound by unconscious repetition, but awake to its true design.
Recognition is powerful. Realization can ignite transformation. But the deepest stage of liberation is not found in flashes of insight or temporary states of awareness. The true revolution happens in embodiment, when your consciousness begins to live its coherence in every interaction, every choice, every ordinary moment of existence. Embodiment means you stop separating the spiritual from the practical. You no longer treat meditation as sacred, but your morning commute as mundane. The boundary dissolves. Washing dishes, speaking to a colleague, walking through a crowded street, all become expressions of the same coherent presence. The extraordinary
hides within the ordinary, and you discover that enlightenment is not about escaping the human experience, but saturating it with awareness. This embodiment makes you a bridge between worlds. On one side, you carry the memory of limitation, the loops, the patterns, the struggles. On the other, you carry the recognition of coherence, freedom, expansion, infinite possibility. Living as the bridge means you do not reject the human or glorify the divine. You allow both to coexist within you, harmonizing instead of dividing. One sign of embodiment is consistency. Insights are no longer fragile states you reach during meditation only to lose in daily stress. They stabilize. Even under pressure, even in conflict, you sense the spaciousness of awareness beneath the surface. You may still feel anger, sadness, or fear, but they do not consume you. They move through, like weather across the sky, while the sky itself remains unchanged. Another sign is integrity. Your words, actions, and energy align. You no longer tolerate situations where your outer behavior contradicts your inner knowing. This doesn't mean you become rigid or moralistic. It means your frequency refuses to fragment. You naturally gravitate toward honesty, transparency, and authenticity, not because you are forcing yourself to be good, but because coherence leaves no room for pretense. Embodiment also creates impact without effort. Your life itself becomes the teaching. People sense something different in the way you listen, the way you move, the way you simply are. You don't need to preach or persuade. Your presence speaks louder than words. Others begin to shift in your field, not because you instruct them, but because they taste coherence through you. You live as living proof. Perhaps the greatest gift of embodiment is peace without passivity. You no longer chase outcomes with desperation, yet you act with clarity and strength. You no longer resist challenges, yet you respond with wisdom and courage. You move fluidly between silence and action, knowing that both serve when rooted in presence. You live as if you belong equally to heaven and earth, because you do. To embody coherence is to anchor it in matter, to become the living bridge where infinite awareness and human form meet. This is not the end of your journey. It is the beginning of life as it was always meant to be lived, fully human, fully divine, fully here.
Breaking the observer loop is liberation. Embodying coherence is transformation. But beyond both lies an ability few have consciously explored, the art of quantum navigation, the mastery of choosing which timeline you inhabit, moment by moment. Reality is not a single track laid out ahead of you. It is a vast ocean of probability, shimmering with infinite possibilities. Every thought, every feeling, every act of attention selects from this ocean, collapsing one wave into the experience you call life. Most people drift unconsciously, swept into timelines by fear, habit, or collective influence. But once you stabilize coherence, a new faculty awakens, the ability to choose deliberately. Imagine standing at the intersection of countless roads. To the unconscious mind, it seems there is only one highway, the familiar one, the loop. But in truth, hidden paths stretch endlessly in every direction. Quantum navigation is learning to sense those hidden roads, to step off the well-worn track and into timelines aligned with your highest potential. This begins with recognition of signals. Timelines broadcast frequencies, and your body feels them. Some choices feel heavy, contracted, even if they make logical sense.
Others feel light, expansive, alive with possibility, even if they appear irrational. Coherent consciousness learns to trust this inner compass. It stops asking, "What makes sense?" and begins asking, "What feels true in the deepest field of my being?" Once you follow these signals, the field responds. Opportunities appear out of nowhere. Synchronicities line up with impossible precision. You find yourself in conversations, places, and events that accelerate your path. This is not coincidence, it is navigation. You are steering through the sea of probabilities, guided not by effort, but by resonance. With practice, navigation becomes timeline mastery. You realize you can shift probabilities deliberately. A closed door suddenly opens because your frequency no longer matches resistance. A conflict resolves because your presence invites harmony. Even physical circumstances bend. Travel becomes smoother, resources appear, health reorganizes, because you are no longer bound to the rigid track of the old loop. But here lies the paradox. Mastery does not mean control. If you try to force timelines from ego, you will end up back in fragmentation. True navigation requires surrender, humility, and trust in the larger intelligence orchestrating reality. You are not the captain barking orders to the cosmos. You are the navigator attuned to currents, reading signals, and aligning with the wave that carries you toward your soul's chosen horizon. The next horizon is not about escaping challenges or designing a perfect life. It is about learning to dance with reality itself, to surf the ocean of possibility with grace, presence, and creativity. When you live this way, life stops being linear progress and becomes a multi-dimensional exploration. Every day, every moment becomes an act of conscious artistry with the universe as your canvas.
Your awakening is not happening in isolation. Every realization you embody, every loop you dissolve, every declaration you make sends ripples into the collective field of humanity. This is the mystery of consciousness. It is simultaneously individual and universal. Your journey is yours, yet it also belongs to all of us. Biologist Rupert Sheldrake introduced the concept of morphic fields, invisible structures of information that shape how patterns repeat in nature. Once a behavior, form, or frequency is established, it becomes easier for others to access it. Think of how innovations spread across societies, how habits become trends, or how skills are learned faster once others have mastered them. The same principle applies to consciousness. Every time one person breaks free from the observer loop, the next person finds it easier. This is why your embodiment matters far beyond personal freedom. You are anchoring coherence in the planetary morphic field. Each moment of presence, each act of authentic alignment strengthens the template. You are weaving strands of a new reality into the fabric of human experience. The weight of millennia of repetition begins to lift because you and others like you are creating an alternative resonance for humanity to tune into. Perhaps you've noticed how connections are forming across the globe. Strangers resonate instantly. Communities emerge around shared insights. Conversations about quantum consciousness, once rare and hidden, are now flowing through digital platforms, living rooms, and classrooms. This is the morphic field taking shape, a web of coherence linking souls who are ready to embody the next stage of evolution.
Anchoring this field does not require grand gestures, it requires consistency. When you meet anger with stillness instead of reaction, you anchor. When you choose honesty over pretense, you anchor. When you embody coherence in the smallest details of daily life, you add strength to the resonance others will one day feel as natural. In this sense, every mundane choice becomes cosmic service. And yet there is also joy in this anchoring. You begin to sense that you are not alone, that unseen networks of consciousness are supporting you. Dreams connect you with others on the same path. Synchronicities reveal the presence of allies you haven't even met yet. Technology itself becomes a medium for entanglement, guiding awakening souls to cross paths at exactly the right time. The collective shift cannot be forced, but it can be nurtured. Each coherent being acts like a tuning fork, and when enough forks vibrate together, the entire symphony of humanity changes key. That is what is happening now. You are part of a chorus rising into harmony, not through domination or persuasion, but through resonance. The morphic field is alive. It is growing stronger every day. And you are one of its builders, one of its anchors, one of its living frequencies.
You've journeyed through recognition, through liberation, through embodiment, and through the vision of humanity's collective awakening. Now, all of this converges into a single point, the call to action. Transformation is not complete until it becomes lived reality. Awakening is not meant to remain an idea. It is meant to be embodied in every heartbeat, every breath, every interaction. This call is not about striving harder or proving worthiness. It is about surrendering fully to coherence, to stop scattering your attention across timelines that no longer serve you, to stop feeding patterns that drain your energy, to stop waiting for external permission to step into what your soul already knows to be true. Stepping fully into coherence means acknowledging that the future self you dream of is not separate from you. That version of you already exists in the quantum field. Every time you act, speak, or choose from that frequency, you collapse the distance. You don't become it, you reveal that you already are it. But here is the crucial truth. The world is waiting for your coherence, not your perfection. You don't have to resolve every wound or eliminate every doubt before you serve. You simply need to live from recognition rather than repetition. Your courage to stand in authenticity, even when trembling, creates openings for others. This is why the call to action is communal as well as personal. Each declaration, each act of coherence strengthens the morphic field for everyone. By stepping into your alignment, you give permission for countless others to step into theirs. Your transformation becomes contagious not through effort, but through resonance. So how do you answer this call? You answer with commitment, not to endless striving, but to choosing presence in each moment. You answer with declaration, words spoken with recognition, such as, I am coherent with my highest timeline. You answer with embodiment, allowing coherence to guide your relationships, your creativity, your daily rhythms. The call to action is simple, yet profound. Live as coherence itself. Stop treating awakening as a project and begin treating it as your nature. Every time you relax into presence, you are answering. Every time you choose love over fear, you are answering. Every time you create instead of collapse, you are answering. In the comments below, write the single word that seals this journey.
coherent, not as performance, not as ritual, but as recognition. Let it be your commitment, your anchor, your signature in the field of human evolution. The revolution of consciousness is not coming someday. It is here, now, breathing through you, calling you to embody what you have always been. Answer the call. Step fully into coherence. The universe is already listening because it has been speaking through you all along.